Welcome back to Thrawn's Revenge. Last time we were practicing our top level exploits by sneakily capturing the space under an Executor Star Destroyer and building a hypervelocity gun to kill it, and then when some yellow planets entered the game, we went and captured a couple of them, again using one-man exploits, just for the fun of it, although it wasn't particularly fun in the end. So here we are in this yellow space, probably going to capture some more planets, especially this one right here, because that will give us a corridor back to our own starting territory. There are some Star Destroyers here to face, a couple of victories, and a couple of regular ones in this main group, and we're just doing the usual focus firing, trying to strip the powerful guns off the Imperial Star Destroyer 2s, so that we can't take too much damage later on. However, I am taking quite a lot of damage on my flagship, the Phalanx Battlecruiser, and that is because it's dueling one-on-one to the south with the enemy's flagship, an Allegiance Battlecruiser, basically a really big Star Destroyer that's really powerful and is apparently better than my really big thing that's meant to be really powerful. I'd never seen the Allegiance before, at least not memorably, but the Allegiance Battlecruiser is going to become very familiar to us as we go ahead. We're going to face quite a lot of these from now on, so get used to it. They're stronger than anything we have, but they take up a decent amount of pop space, so they're like two of our Syndics in terms of pop space, or a little bit more than one of our Phalanxes, which is currently limping away from this fight. As it happens, we weren't destroyed. I was able to get out of range of the enemy. Then they try to retreat, but we're going to stop them with the Interdictor so we can kill the hero that's on board. Once the guns are down, even this powerful Allegiance thing isn't going to be an issue. With that space secured, we do now have a nice corridor back to our territory, as I said, and we can use that immediately to reinforce with these waiting units. Got a couple of new heroes, nothing too special, a Stormtrooper guy, and a new fighter hero, which is never too exciting, but might as well throw them in. The Stormtrooper guy will join our other army with a hero in it from Coruscant, since they're going to have to be brought back into service to go and take the planet we just took the space over. That means it's time for a normal ground battle, and at least, even if they're not much more exciting than exploit ground battles, they are faster. The enemy were fighting local civilians, which was softening them up. Not that it would have made a difference, since once we arrived with all of our Mega Mazers, there's nothing they could do. The best unit they had was the ATST, and that dies in one hit. They retreat before I have to bother going to root them out of their bunkers and stuff, so that was nice of them. There we go, so we've got our little corridor that we wanted, and we could go on to take more yellow territory now, if we wanted to. Do we really need to? I'm not quite sure, but I am going to leave the fleet here, just in case I do decide to do it. While I was sitting around here wondering what I should do, something happened elsewhere. We got attacked in the transitory mists by a fleet from the red guys. All I've got defending is a scout probe, which was just waiting to go somewhere, so that's not much. But I noticed that red guys have conquered all of the planets that were neutral but were actually held by the purple guys in the past. So the purple guys are down to just one bit of mist. They're on the edge. Looks like the red guys are getting aggressive then. In this fight, I was able to just pull back our scout droid, so it will survive, but our space station, and indeed the space, will be lost. To react to this, I'm going to get rid of our defences up here in the top right of the map, because I thought, well, I'll just slap down a couple of space stations. We've got a hypervelocity gun. That little corner can possibly defend itself, so the fleet that was defending there will come around to defend our more important centre instead. There was one bit of business I needed to sort out right away with the Duscan League, and that is that they have a fleet over one of my planets with one of my guys on it, so we'll get rid of this fleet to fully secure what we have already at least. We do have a hypervelocity gun on our side, so that will make life easier. We get a great shot on that Star Destroyer, taking out its engines and its shield generator, so now it's going to be stuck at the back, just doing nothing, while the rest of its fleet is engaged and destroyed with overwhelming firepower. Although that said, I did end up with one of these annoying situations where a carrier has found its way to the front of the formation. I was able to jump it out just before it was destroyed, even with the enemy actually tractor beaming it, so I guess the tractor beam doesn't override the emergency jump. That's good to see, probably law breaking as well. Anyway, as for the couple of Victory class Star Destroyers and the one ISD, they went down as normal, leaving just the ISD that was already half dead. Just to get some value for money from my hypervelocity gun, I shot it again, very nearly killing it, and having to get my Syndic to dodge out of the way of the shot. I think the shot can't actually hit other things on the way to its target, although that said I have seen it blow up fighters as it moves through on its path, so maybe the blue blob does actually do damage as an entity. Not quite sure. Anyway, so we took the space, and the one loss the carrier was actually just a retreat. So there we have it, we've got half of the Duscan League's space, and really there's not much they're doing at the moment, so we can probably leave them to it for now. We're going to focus back over on the east now. Firstly, I wanted to retake the precious transitory mists from whatever was there, and it turned out that nothing was there. The enemy fleet had left the area, just leaving a space station, so we'll have it, losing a gunship along the way. Since we had one of our most hard-fought battles ever in these mists, it seems like we should try and keep them to make up for the losses we suffered capturing them before. But we're about to see another hard-fought battle over at Thanos. The red guys have put together a serious fleet to attack us, and it was then that I remembered my ground army in the area is still here on that old Empire planet, and if Thanos falls it will be completely cut off and will be stuck in space, likely meaning it will be destroyed. So that's not a very good setup. The enemy fleet is pretty big, it's 100 and something's worth of pop, meaning we only have to fight the first half of it at first, since you can only have 60's worth of stuff on the field at any time. My fleet's deployed in the middle of the map, which sucked, so the first thing I needed to do was run away to get back to our space stations. We do have a hypervelocity gun on our side, so I immediately shoot that Imperial Star Destroyer, doing some okay damage, but not getting the engines or the shield generator, which are two great things to destroy instantly. I was able to run most of the way back to our space stations before the enemy fleet caught up to us, and now a fight starts. The issue is that by running away it turns your formation, and your capital ships end up at the back, so now we have lots of the smaller ships tanking the enemy's initial shots, and we lose a carrier instantly. I think we're going to be losing corvettes and small things that are hard to see all over the place in this situation. Here I think I wasted this hypervelocity gunshot on this cruiser. I didn't really recognise what it was or how powerful it was, but from the tooltip I think that's just something roughly equivalent to one of our chaffs, or even something smaller than that, so should have shot something bigger. As we destroy enemies, they're going to use their reinforcement pool to jump more stuff in, and there we saw a Secutor jumping in behind us, very nasty. That Secutor actually ends up becoming a priority target because it's able to shoot our shipyard, and the shipyard is spawning cruisers for us, which we could really use. So I'm going to focus the entire fleet backwards to destroy the thing behind us, incurring more losses on the front lines. I basically left a few chaffs out in front of the formation and they just got destroyed by the Secutors and ISDs. But now that we've finished our business, we can turn back around and start attacking. The Secutors in particular aren't that powerful, as I've said before, they just look like they are. Trying to use my Mega Mazer platform to do more damage, using the rotation ability as well to get its guns to fire in different directions, or different guns, sorry, to fire forwards. Doesn't always work, or ever work. It actually rotated a bit that time, unlike my previous attempts, just not very much. I think you need to be not in the middle of a micro-fueled chaos to really get that working properly. Anyway, the fight continues on, and gradually we are destroying the enemy ships that are attacking us, just because we have numbers on our side, and I think, perhaps more importantly, I'm microing more than the enemy is. Since we're focus firing ships down, we destroy guns faster, we have less or fewer wasted shots that are just impacting shields, more shots hitting hardpoints and reducing the enemy's firepower. While we do take decent losses, the job is slowly being done. Down goes another allegiance here in the middle, it's basically dead anyway. There's another one over here on the right, but on its own it won't be able to face everything that we have left. There was a Secutor attacking our space station down at the south there, but a couple of shots from the broadside of a chaff or something took it out since it was already nearly dead. There we have it. One problem we're starting to face at this point in the battle is fighter inferiority. These allegiances keep spawning fighters, and you can see across the battlefield we're losing fighters fast. We don't have many left, and the enemy have fighters all over the place. As we bring that allegiance down, the fighters have become a real nuisance, because the fighters on their own might actually be able to damage and destroy parts of our capital ships. We've run out of spawned fighters, so we can't fight them with that, but we can do things the hard way. We can form up the capital ships into a line and shoot at the fighters with the turbo lasers. While this doesn't do very much, these shots don't always miss. You can slowly kill fighters by really spamming them with anti-capital ship weapons. So after a while we're able to clear everything out. And the reason we have so much time to do this is the rest of the enemy fleet, their 2 remaining Allegiance battlecruisers, are just chilling on the other side of the map. I can just shoot them with the hypervelocity gun, so I'm fine for them to sit there, no point going after them, although after a while I was bored and started moving the fleet towards them as if I would attack. However, just as one of the Allegiance battlecruisers was about to die, they retreated. We don't have an interdictor, so we have to let them go. A shame to miss out on that kill, but we did kill quite a lot of enemy stuff in that battle. Decent losses on our side too. Quite a few chaffs went down and we lost a Star Destroyer as well. But that said, nothing too bad considering the enemy lost multiple Star Destroyers, they lost multiple battle cruisers, they lost a hero. Overall, a victory for us, suffice to say. We do have a level 3 shipyard here and we do have lots of money, so I can immediately start replacing the things that we lost, even putting a Phalanx battlecruiser in there to give us a nice proper flagship. So things are going well after that fight. I think they probably won't be back for a while. After that, I felt like doing something really boring, so I'm going to make another nice exploit attack on the next Duscan planet. This one was a bit more interesting than the last one, to be fair. We advanced forwards and found a nice pair of build pads. I slapped down an infantry and vehicle turret, and we were attacked by infantry and vehicles en masse, as it turns out. You'll notice the vehicle turret here actually shrinks after you've built it. It makes a big one, and then you end up with a small one. How disappointing. But anyway, we were attacked so ferociously here that I actually gave up the position. The turrets went down. The enemy have clearly captured a light and heavy vehicle factory because they have swamp speeders and pod walkers. So that's 10 extra vehicles for us to deal with. And this did prove to be a problem, especially the swamp speeders, who seem to be quite good against turrets. They kill them really quickly and don't just miss like many other units. And I was pushed all the way back to my starting position. Luckily that position was fortified with build pads. Since our guy Ashik is now damaged, I need to quickly build a Bacta tank to get him quote-unquote back to health. The good thing about these Bacta tanks is not only do they build way faster than other things, but they heal heroes in particular real fast. They're not that good at healing regular infantry, but against units that just have one guy in them, it heals them instantly. So I'm pretty sure if you just stood next to a Bacta tank, you could be functionally invincible against many attacks. But anyway, we're still going to take the fight to the enemy using our vehicle turret. Our EMP blast locks these enemy vehicles in place, and now the turret can take them out. But that was only the first wave. The enemy should have grouped their units up a bit more, because now some more stuff appears, including those speeders, and they're quickly destroying the vehicle turret. It really can't last long against them. We just about destroyed them before our guy ran out of health. And there we go, the enemy offensive has been destroyed. Time for our counter-offensive. With the enemy's numbers depleted, and with my realization that by slapping Bacta tanks down instead of turrets I can just make my guy sort of invincible, I just went around using the handgun to gradually kill the walkers. It does work, the enemy can't do that much damage to us. I eventually found a bunker filled with infantry, built a flamethrower turret right next to it, and completely smoked the place out. This time it worked much better than in the previous exploit battle. And after we killed all that infantry, the enemy gave up. Very nice of them, so that went okay actually in the end. Now we've got 4 of the Duscan League planets, and I realised we can actually make that 5 using just a single space battle, because one of them is a gas giant, meaning we just have to kill a few ships and we get the system. Thought since that's easy, we'll do that just to pass the time. It's the usual 2 ISD-2s and 2 Victory class Star Destroyer setup. However, we do get the rogue forces in this battle as well, so 2 more victories appear behind us in amongst our squishy ships. Both of those victories are going to be activating their power to weapons ability to make them more powerful, and that's going to work quite well. Most of my capitals are busy fighting at close range with the regular enemies, so these new enemies have a chance to damage us, and one of our carriers is quickly destroyed back there. All I can do to start with is spam the enemy with fighters as my capitals make their way back, and since the enemy are on power to weapons, I think it reduces their shields by like 80%, and then they're weaker as well after that, so we can easily start damaging them, and the capitals are back in the fight soon enough. I just ignored the yellow guys for a bit, destroyed those victories, then turned around, destroyed the yellow guys in the normal fashion, just before they escaped as well. They almost got away with one of their Star Destroyers still alive. We did lose a carrier and a corvette and apparently a squad of fighters that I had no idea was even in the fleet, so that's all good. And there we have it, we've taken control of the planet. At this stage, with only one Dusken League planet left, I thought, well, let's wipe them out. I wasn't really interested in killing them all at first, but I've sort of inadvertently done it just because there was nothing else to do. I go for this attack against the final enemy fleet, but we are running into some serious trouble because as the battle starts, we're right on top of an Executor class Star Destroyer. We lose a carrier immediately, we're in trouble. Our Phalanx battlecruiser just gets its shields wiped out by the enemy's massive number of guns. I'm putting everyone on emergency jump mode because you can't retreat for some number of seconds after a battle initiates. So pretty cheeky that we spawned on top of the most powerful ship in the game. Not an ideal situation. Finally, regular retreat becomes available just as most of my fleet actually emergency jumps away. So there we have it, we got away, but not without losses. That was an unsuccessful attack, if ever there was one. It looks pretty bad because all of our retreats are counted among the losses. I can't really remember what exactly we did lose. Definitely one carrier, probably those corvettes as well. I eventually found where the fleet had jumped to, and there looks like we've got a decent number of ships still in it, so we'll bring them back down to join the main fleet. And apart from that, all we can do is brood, really, because attacking that situation is going to be difficult with any fleet composition. The only thing we could try is spamming millions of carriers again, but I didn't necessarily want to go through that rigmarole again. It wasn't as fun as the hypervelocity gun method, although that said, the hypervelocity gun method takes ages, and while it's fun to have done it, the process of doing it's quite boring. So there's no real good way to get past an Executor right now. We'll just come back to the question later. For now I thought let's go over here and clear the fleet over the planet that we previously took with our exploit methods. In this battle, one of our carriers spawned in an asteroid field, so it had really low shields right off the bat. That turned out to be a bit of an issue because the carrier's position put it in the enemy line of fire. While I was trying to pull it towards the back, the enemy used a tractor beam very wisely to stop it from moving away. So they are going to be able to secure the kill, just about visible underneath / inside the phalanx there. Good work from the AI. Aside from that, the rest of the battle will be the standard fare as we focus down the enemy guns and take them out, especially with a hypervelocity gun helping us to make it nice and easy. That leaves only the question of the Executor to deal with, really, with the Dusken League and the planet below it, I suppose. And on that topic, one way we could deal with the Executor is obviously to use our one guy to do the same thing that we did at the Moor, go build some hypervelocity guns pointing at the Executor, and then just try and survive in space long enough to blow everything up with the hypervelocity gun without risking capital ships which will be easily killed by the enemy's units. I wasn't quite sure I wanted to go down that path again, just in case I could think of some other, more creative way to bring down the Executor. However, after a while of just piddling about on the campaign map, here we are, on the surface of their last planet, killing everything indiscriminately with our one guy. It's just too effective to pass up. We just slap down turrets all over the place, and the enemy are immediately in huge trouble. I'm also not really trying to play this in a conservative fashion anymore. I realised you can just run up to enemy vehicles and kill them with this guy, so that speeds up the process of doing these fights quite a lot. And we were lucky in this fight in that when we encountered enemy bunkers, it was only in cases where we could immediately set up a flame turret and just completely scorch them out. It took a while for this bunker for some reason, maybe because it's slightly far away. But yes, down it goes. At the last second, they're like, oh, we're being shot, and they try to shoot the turret, but it's too late. They might have actually destroyed it if they've been shooting the whole time. After a while, the enemy kindly retreat, and we don't have to finish them off. Thank you very much. And now we have all of the Dusken League's territory. It's just that Executor and a few supporting ISDs floating in space, with apparently no AI. They're just sitting there. Maybe we can just deal with them at our leisure later. You can see I started building 2 hypervelocity guns. I was like, we're going to do an experiment. Maybe if we have loads of hypervelocity guns, we can somehow make the process of using that exploit more powerful, or at least more quick. Maybe I'll look into that later if I feel like it. After that, I just did nothing for a while. I'm literally just selecting planets at random and building units for no reason, just to spend money and pass the time. And something did happen as I was waiting. We've got a new hero. It's none other than Thrawn himself, although it's a clone of Thrawn. Yes, it's the old Star Wars character isn't dead because they've got a clone trick. So there he is. It's actually worse than the old Thrawn because his ship is a chaff rather than a regular Star Destroyer. So that's a shame, but we'll put him in charge of our big, newly rebuilt frontline fleet at Thanos. Maybe he'll get to see some more action there. Anyway, as for my next move, I'm going to go for the next bit of transitory mists, because I noticed the red guys had taken it from the purple guys recently. So I thought there's probably nothing there, and indeed there was nothing at all there, so we just take it. Now we've got all of that precious mist to ourselves, although there is some more over to the east actually. Now you might notice in the background there's this constant need something destroyed sound effect going off. That's because I'm building an exploit army. I realised that the Phalanx Commando infantry unit also has the stealth trait, like our Ashik guy. So we can actually make an entire army that can land stealthily on planets and get past space fleets. It's just an army entirely of commandos. This turned out to be much less exploitative and more fun than using Ashik actually, so I suppose we'll get into the saga of these commandos' adventure through enemy space next time.